Welcome back to the channel. My people, something dangerous is happening in Nigeria today, and many do not see it clearly. The Yoruba leaders and the Fulani Northern elites are joining hands, but not because they love each other. Their only mission is to stop the rise of Biafra. And how do they plan to do it? They are waving one word again and again: restructuring. Yes, they call it their last weapon, the magic solution. But if you look closer, you will see it is only a trap to deceive the Southeast, especially the Igbos, to keep Nigeria together under Fulani and Yoruba control. In this video, I will show you the hiding game behind restructuring, why Tinubu and the Fulani alliance are pushing it, and why they fear Biafra more than anything else. Stay with me till the end, because what you will hear today is the truth many Yoruba politicians do not want you to know. Why restructuring became their language. Restructuring is not a new word. From the days of Abiola to Obasanjo to Atiku and now Tinubu, politicians from the southwest and the north have always used it as a political promise. But the question is, if restructuring is truly the solution, why have they never done it? The truth is simple. They don't want free change. They only use the word when they want to calm the Southeast, especially when the agitation for Biafra is rising. Right now, the call for Biafra is louder than ever. From the street to the diaspora, from elders to the youth, the demand is clear. And because the Yoruba and Fulani politicians are scared of losing control, they suddenly resurrect the restructuring song. They think Igbos will hear restructuring and stop demanding freedom. They believe it will weaken the Biafra struggle. But my people, you know the truth: restructuring is only a delay tactic, not the answer. The Yoruba political agenda. Let us look at the Yoruba side. For many years, Yoruba politicians have played the role of middleman. Between the north and the south, they say they want fairness, but in reality, they never want the Igbos to rise. Remember 1966, remember June 12, remember how Yoruba leaders made deals with the north to survive politically. Today, Tinubu is in power, but ask yourself, is Tinubu free? Or is he only holding power for the Fulani elites? That is why Yoruba leaders are selling restructuring to the Igbos again. They want to appear like friends, but they are only protecting their political future. They know that if Biafra comes, the Yoruba agenda in Nigeria collapse. They know they will lose their bargaining power. That is why they present restructuring as a middle ground, not because they love fairness, but because they fear Biafra more than the Fulani do. The Fulani hiding fear. Now, let us turn to the Fulani north. For the Fulani, Nigeria is their inheritance. They control the army, the oil revenue, the borders, and even the constitution. But they have one fear: Biafra. Why? Because Biafra represents freedom, self-determination, and the ability to stand on your own. If Biafra breaks free, the Fulani will lose their grip on the oil wealth of the south. That is why they are using the Yoruba as a shade. They allow Yoruba leaders to sing restructuring while they remain in the background pulling the strings. The Fulani know that the Igbos do not trust them directly, so they use Yoruba leaders to act like peacemakers. But the game is still the same: keep Nigeria together at all costs. This is why we must be careful. Restructuring is not your benefit. It is only to maintain Fulani dominance using Yoruba as their cover. And this is what they don't want you to understand. Why they fear Biafra more than Boko Haram. Have you noticed something? The Nigerian government spends billions fighting Boko Haram, bandits and terrorists. Yet they never panic the way they panic when Biafra is mentioned. Why? Because Boko Haram does not threaten their political foundation. It is only violence they can control, use for negotiation. But Biafra is different. Biafra is the one idea that can break Nigeria apart and end Fulani control. That is why every time Biafra is mentioned, they quickly bring up restructuring. They hope that Igbos will accept restructuring as a softer option. But let us be honest. How can the same people who destroy Nigeria suddenly restructure it? How can the same people who never respected the constitution now promise fairness? My people, this is why they fear Biafra more than anything else. Because once Biafra rises, their political and economic empire will collapse like a pack of cards. Restructuring as a political scam. We must understand restructuring for what it really is. When Yoruba and Fulani leaders talk about restructuring, they don't mean true federalism, where every region controls its resources. No. What they mean is cosmetic change, small adjustments to deceive the people, while the core power structure remains the same. Look at Obasanjo, Atiku, even Tinubu before 2015. They all shouted restructuring, restructuring. But the moment they got close to power, restructuring disappeared from their lips. This is exactly how the scam works. They dangle the word like bait to calm down the Southeast, then drop it once they achieve their ambition. That is why I say restructuring is not a solution. It is a scam. A real restructuring will return oil and gas ownership to the Southeast and South-South. But do you think the Fulani elite will ever allow that? Never. They know the day Nigeria parties through restructuring, their power vanished. How Tinubu became their cover. Tinubu is the new face of the Yoruba Fulani alliance. He sold himself as a Yoruba man who fought for democracy, but in reality, he is a politician who made deals with the North to climb to the top. Without Fulani support, Tinubu will never smell Aso Rock. Now that he is there, he must serve the interests of those who put him there. That is why under Tinubu's government, the restructuring song is returning again. He wants to use it to calm the Southeast while threatens his alliance with the Fulani. But the danger is this: Tinubu is not in control. He is surrounded by the same northern cabals who used Buhari for 8 years. They are the one deciding what restructuring means. And once again, the Igbo man is being deceived with empty promises. That is why we must open our eyes and refuse to fall for the same trap. Why Yoruba don't want Igbo free? Let us be clear. My people, the Yoruba political elite do not truly want the Igbos to be free. They may pretend to support fairness, but deep inside they see Igbos' independence as a threat to their own survival. Why? Because Yoruba politics survive on negotiation. They always balance between North and the South to keep themselves relevant. But if the Igbos break away as Biafra, the Yoruba lose their bargaining power. They will be left to face the Fulani alone, and they know the Fulani will never respect them. That is why Yoruba leaders secretly prefer the Igbos to remain in Nigeria. Even if oppressed, they prefer restructuring over referendum because restructuring keeps everyone inside the same prison. My people, this is the painful truth. Yoruba politicians may smile, they may talk about unity, but their unity is not for your benefit, it is for their survival. And this is why they fear Biafra success. The role of international powers. We must also look at the international angle. Countries like Britain and even the US know that restructuring is being used as a trick. They also know that if Biafra becomes independent, Nigeria will never be the same again. But here is the secret. The West prefer a weak Nigeria under Fulani and Yoruba control rather than a strong independent Biafra. Why? Because they benefit from Nigeria's weakness. They enjoy cheap oil, weak government, and leaders they can control. That is why even abroad, the language you hear is Nigeria needs restructuring. It sounds nice, but in reality, it is only designed to keep Nigeria one. This is why the Yoruba and Fulani elite feel bold. They believe the international community will support restructuring, but oppose Biafra. But history teaches us something. The will of the people always wins. In the end, why the Igbo must not fall again? This is the real message. The Igbo must not fall into this trap again. We have seen this movie before. During Obasanjo's time, during Jonathan's time, during Buhari's time, they all promised change, but nothing came. Now, Tinubu is in power and the same restructuring song is back. But if we fall for it, we will only delay Biafra another generation. My people, let us not forget the blood of 1967 to 1970. Let us not forget the suffering of millions of Igbos who died for freedom. If they gave their lives for Biafra, then we must not betray them by falling for a Yoruba Fulani restructuring scam. This is the time to stand firm, to tell Nigeria clearly, restructuring is not enough. Only a referendum can settle this matter. If we accept restructuring, we are only giving them more time to enslave us. The last warning. So here is the final warning. Restructuring is not a gift. It is a trap. The Yoruba and Fulani alliance knows that the Biafra struggle has reached a point of no return. They know the Igbo people are awake, determined, and no longer afraid. That is why they are rushing to use restructuring as their last weapon. But my people, we must reject it. We must speak with one voice. No more delay, no more promises. What we want is freedom. What we demand is referendum. And let the world hear it loud and clear. This is not about hatred. It is about justice. The Yoruba and Fulani may unite against Biafra, but truth always defeats lies. Freedom always defeats oppression. And just as other nations are rising, Biafra too will rise. That is why you must share this message. Let it reach every Igbo man and woman. Let the world know we are not falling for restructuring. We want Biafra and nothing less. My brother and sister, you have heard the truth. Restructuring is their last weapon, but it is weak compared to the spirit of Biafra. They may try to deceive us, but we will not fall again. This is why we must keep speaking, keep exposing, and keep standing together, because unity is our strongest power. When they see us united, their tricks failed. When they see us divided, they succeeded. So let us be wise. Do not let Yoruba and Fulani politicians decide your future. Do not let restructuring silence your voice. The future belongs to those who stand for justice. And justice for the Igbo means only one thing: Biafra. Share this message. My people, let every Igbo son and daughter hear it. The truth they don't want us to know is now clear. Restructuring is their scam, but Biafra is our destiny.